Oh, thank y'all for inviting me on.
It was a hello.
Yeah.
Fair warning, mics are live and we're recording.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the only warning you will get.
Okay, so no farting. No kidding.
You can do that. We don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, we basically what we try to do with the podcast is we don't worry about like outside noises or weird things because it's a conversation. It's not. We can do scripted podcasts that sound like a radio interview, but we prefer not to. We prefer to sort of have, oh gosh, let's
Yeah.
we're having a conversation with friends.
I am a little nervous because I'm it's always about.
Oh, wait a minute, I like nervous. What are you nervous about?
Well, okay.
Yeah, let's touch base.
Now you notice, and this is just for the people that can't see.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I asked the question, somebody sat up really straight and looked up where they sound different.
I definitely, I do a lot of things. I'm nervous about how it comes off to people if people get confused when I explain different things, and honoring that I don't have it all together, and that's okay.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. Actually, that's a perfect way to be for this podcast because we wanted a place where people can share their complexities in a casual tone and like leave it there. I mean, maybe it's a shareable track, maybe it's not, but we're having a place where we come together and we connect because honestly, during the pandemic, I outsourced a lot of my community conversations to podcasts where I was like trying to recreate community. And what I noticed was, hey, you can click and play and have a buddy right there, but it becomes a blur because by the time you put the commercials in, the sponsors in, then you don't really get into the meat of the topic. And then you also get this like shallow view on a lot of stuff, especially the mainstream podcasts and whatnot. So this is more of a...
And we get that, we interview politicians and everything too. We get that a lot from the politicians because they are pretty scripted.
Sure.
Especially the better ones. The ones that aren't scripted are fun.
I mean, it's okay to be scripted, but it's just like, I don't want to listen to 5 podcasts to get a tone of who the person is. I want to listen to like a decent interview, right? Yeah. But I think sometimes they're already creating this cookie experience of like, it comes off as very like washed and perfect. Yeah. And our podcast is like, look, if you're living a life, you have probably a few hats that you're wearing. You have probably some wear and tear along the way. And I had a lot of people come up to me and during the pandemic because they had lost some friendships, lost some family, maybe moved here for the first time, never got a chance to actually meet people. And they said, like, do you actually know good people or something? like you seem to like life and I want some of that, right? Yeah. And I said, I had to think about it because, the first person, it's just a little like, well, yeah, I do. And and I'll introduce you to some people. When it's like the third or fourth person, I was like, okay, wait, something's wrong. Yes. Okay. What happened is the loneliness pandemic was happening before COVID. Yeah. And people try as they may, you can go to 5, 6, 7 events and never meet anybody, and like, honestly, that's why you stuck out to me because we shared one event with the LGBT business chamber. And like I had the experience with you that I hope people have. But again, you can go to 10 events and never have that. Like we talked, we greeted one another. We had a good exchange. We learned a little bit about one another. And then we had an event. Yeah. And then we followed up afterwards. And that hardly ever happens.
One of the big things about our community is that there's an awful lot of introverted people in our community.
Yeah.
And an awful lot of them are struggling to be less introverted.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. That's true.
And I think that that allows people to be shut down way too easily. Yeah. I mean, the extroverted people, you can't shut them down for anything.
Right. Yeah.
I don't care what you say.
There's a lot of science that's behind, like, go to the things you enjoy. Maybe you'll meet, you already start off with a mutual interest and go to things that you're actually doing something. So therefore you have like a task. And as it turns out, Jacob and I were like doing this. We were like putting cookies out for the tabling and stuff. So like, if I meet anybody over cookies.
Did you tell me there were cookies?
Yeah,
there were a lot of cookies.
There were actually 2 cookies, and we had to spread them out per different table. So, anyways, yeah. You know what's really funny? Like in our community, they use this whole like, I'm not gonna let people bake your cake for your wedding, like trope. Right? And when I first heard that, I was like, do we have a shortage of that in our community? Like, do we have to outsource this to other people that it's a problem? Because I know a lot of people who in our community that love desserts, like dessert first, like life is short, right?
Exactly.
Life is short and sugar fixes a lot of things.
Yeah, especially depression.
Oh man. Sometimes I'm caking it. Well, so how are you two today? Like, what's the vibe?
You said you two, so
both of you, yeah. But you're the guest. You can go first.
Yeah. First of all, this has been a great dialogue.
Okay, so there's 3 ums.
No, that's okay.
Well, I think you should think about that
4.
for a minute because Robin needs to do our opening. This is how informal we are. We forgot to open the podcast.
Oh, okay, yes.
That's right. It's kind of just flow. I'm okay. So I got laid off in April because the Trump admin thought it was a good idea to cut a lot of research. And I was a COVID research assistant, and we were going to release a lot of research about long COVID and everything, and they froze all our funding. So I've been unemployed since April.
That's
job
tough.
hunting, and then
what's the ideal job? Like, let's throw it out there. Do you know?
Oh my god! I 2 months ago I would have said research, but now I would say it has to be directly helping people. I have to see people. I like to see my impact. So I've thought about like something with community outreach, or working with kids.
Yeah.
I applied to different ones. Like one is for a nonprofit with kids, another one's for like with juveniles. But I like to see that I have an impact on people, and research didn't do that. It's like long-term impact.
Sure.
We
hope it has long-term impact.
Yeah.
We hope. Yeah. I got into that because I was pre-med and I wanted to go to medical school once upon a time. But
So what's wrong with medical school now?
Nothing. My GPA.
What did you finish with?
Degree in biomedical science and minored in chemistry. Sorry, GPA?
I don't know. No, I don't need to. No.
Okay.
We're not here to judge.
Yeah,
I just meant the degree. Yeah.
I think looking back, it was hard being a first generation student. It was hard not having any parental support, financial
so much
or
pressure.
emotional. I did the best I could, and I think med schools weren't as forgiving for that as like other things. So I'm okay with where I'm at.
And you crossed the finish line.
I did.
So where you take your journey is where you take your journey.
As somebody said that surprised me, there's nothing wrong with letting it lay fallow for a short while and sort of recovering your energies, etc.
Yes.
I didn't know what fallow meant. Do you know what fallow means?
Fallow probably means to relax.
Kind of, but I'm not putting you on the spot. Let her say it.
Yes, essentially, if you are planting crops, it's an agricultural thing, and they aren't growing too well. Sometimes you just don't plant crops for a year or two and let the land recover.
Yeah.
And it just does its thing, and that's letting things lay fallow.
Oh, it's like a break, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty much a break.
That's where I'm at. Being on unemployment, I'm getting money coming in to manage my bills.
Good.
But it's I think it's detaching my worth from a job and money, because that's been a real challenge lately.
That's tough.
And I think what keeps me busy is running my podcast.
Yeah, jump into it. Like, tell us what you got going on. You're running a podcast. You're starting a nonprofit. I mean, you're
I'm going to interrupt you again.
No, I'll do it later.
No, I don't want to have to put it back up.
All right. So, Jacob, we have to officially introduce ourselves.
Okay, that's fine. This is a good warm up.
All right. I don't know if you do your podcast edits, but we're trying to keep ours easier.
Okay.
So I'm Robin Mack, and this is 22 Sides. Thank you for tuning in on this rainy day. We're in Houston, and I'm with Alexis and Jacob.
Yeah.
Jacob, thank you for being here. And let's jump into it. You are starting a nonprofit, you're running a podcast, and you're coming just out of research of COVID. I mean, that's hot.
Yeah.
You got to take a break sometimes.
No, it's more important. Long COVID,
which people want a lot of data on.
And that would be me.
A lot of data on.
And it's funny because a lot of the data shows that people with long COVID have like worse mental health outcomes. So there's actually a forgot her name. She was a director on Schitt's Creek. She committed suicide.
Wow.
She had long COVID. So I know that because her ex-husband is in patient advocacy groups.
Wow.
Talks about her. So all the research pointed to like long COVID being a condition that impacts people on a lot of body system levels. However, a lot of doctors don't believe it exists really.
Well, we're just kind of still going on with COVID, let alone long COVID.
Yeah.
And are there some symptoms that people should jump out that they should?
I can personally tell you long COVID sucks.
Please do. Symptoms, I'd have to go look on Google.
That's okay. You're away from it now. Okay, so if you got some things popping up, check out long COVID research.
The problem is it can affect anything.
Yeah.
Because my guess is it doesn't directly affect anything, but it affects all sorts of nervous system. Your breathing, it affects your heart, it affects everything sometimes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I think it's also hard because each person already had their preset conditions, right?
Yeah.
So, and depending on how hard and when they got it, it's probably like a lot to research.
It is. So that's pretty much the research we're doing. And, I don't like how society is like, COVID didn't exist. Like,
right.
there's a silent majority of Americans that have long COVID and they're being ignored.
Absolutely. It's incredibly hard. And that is psychologically damaging as well. Like, just in itself, I have some friends that have never regained their smell, that have never regained their taste. And I'm a massage therapist. So people a lot of times will talk to me more than they'll talk to their doctor because they got that like white coat syndrome, or they only got like 15 minutes, or they don't even have a doctor, it just depends. But they'll tell me like the real daily woes of it all, right? And it is hard. So if you're struggling, there are some different splintered support talk spaces and different researchers that are going on depending on what the side effects were.
Right.
And even with Alexis, she was having some balance issues, and we said, girl, you got to get your crystals reset. She said, that sounds a little too hippie. And I said, no, it's a real thing.
It was funny. I was having horrible balance issues.
It's a real thing.
And got my crystals reset, and it's sort of like witchcraft. I mean, they have you lay down, they move your head in a certain way and shake it 3 times, and then move it another way and shake it 3 times, and you stand up and your balance is drastically better. Yeah. And I'm like, it's sort of like voodoo / witchcraft. And I'm like, but you know what? I don't care. It worked.
We actually have what they call like crystals in your ears, and they help with your balance. And people who have vertigo have to go get them reset because it's not a neck adjustment, and it's not something you can do on your own.
They work their way into the wrong part of your ear.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. The crystals, they'll pull on the hairs because it's like
exactly.
They taught us the action potentials and how muscles move.
Yeah.
And as I said, I just consider it witchcraft or voodoo, but I'm good with that.
But it helps.
It helps, so we're fine.
Yeah.
When you're desperate at a certain point, some witchcraft is great.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, where I got the work
and then
done,
some people lead with it. They're like, where can I get a voodoo doll?
Walking into their therapy area, there's a wide lobby that had glass doors, and I couldn't walk a straight line across from door to door on the opposite side. I mean, it was like I was totally drunk. Oh and after they did it, I could walk straight back. And I'm like, wow.
Different, like quick
I'm
adjustment.
good with this.
Yeah.
Is that a permanent treatment?
It's mostly permanent. Sometimes you have to have it redone according to them. I probably need to go back and have them do it again, but because I've started to have a little bit of dizziness problem. But I have a dozen other things that could cause me to be dizzy, like low blood pressure and that. So it's like, who knows which one this is.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, for those that are new to you, Jacob, can you give... it's not perfect, right? But an overview of your vision that you're stepping into.
Yeah. So it's funny because I actually just was talking with somebody advising me on my nonprofit. I think the big thing is that I'm passionate about mental health. Mm-hmm. I feel like mental health can be inaccessible, whether that's financial or, based on your identity. Like, I think there's a lot of people that are trans and non-binary that need support, have trouble finding it. There are people who are like, Black or other racial minorities, struggle finding their own, therapists for their experience. And I think that, my vision is to live in a world where people don't feel like their stuff is too much for someone, or they feel like money isn't a barrier to healing. What that looks like, for my nonprofit, which is I admit still in development because I just made it like a month ago, so I give myself grace.
It's fresh.
But I want to do what's called narrative healing circles, and so what that looks like is there's the thing called narrative therapy.
Sure.
But but for people that don't know narrative therapy, it is like you work on the inner narratives you tell yourself. Like, if you feel like, I'm not enough, like, you're going to act like you're not enough.
Right.
You're going to do things that validate the idea that you're not enough.
Right. Whether you know it or not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you think people leave, you're going to do things that make people leave. And I have, I go into detail about my ex on my podcast about that.
Sure.
But my experience is that I have come from a lot of experience where people thought it was too much. I've had a lot of things in my life where I wanted to tell people.
Yeah.
But I knew the truth would drive them away. And I think I see let me rephrase. The truth drives the people that aren't aligned to us away.
Yeah. Some people can't handle it and they're not ready and they're not the one. Yeah. Exactly.
So, my work with my nonprofit will be that I make a space for everybody, regardless of background, to have a space to heal. The idea behind that is group healing. Like, there's a book, y'all might have read this. It's called The Body Keeps Score.
Ooh, I've heard of it.
Yeah.
I'm not a big reader, but I have heard of it.
Very good book.
It's like the go-to book for a lot of people to point to.
Because the body stores trauma. Mm-hmm. So then there's, there's group healing that book cites. There, for me, what I found very helpful were rituals. Mm-hmm. And so, human beings have used rituals for thousands of years to process and address a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was at a point with therapy where I'm like, okay, my therapist just told me for the 6th time, like, do this, do that.
That's like 6 co-pays, bro.
6 co-pays. He's like, okay, stop going after these types of men. They go back to your dad. And I'm like, that's great, but it's something about my body, you know. So anyway, like, that's my nonprofit work. My podcast, oh my God. I created my podcast initially, honestly, to talk shit about my ex.
Okay.
Just being
this
very
makes
frank,
a lot of sense.
Being very frank. And that's why the first episode of the podcast is me and my best friend going off about our exes.
Okay, that makes more sense. I listened to all of your episodes and I was like, okay, so there's like a few spinoffs. It's fresh. It's just launched. There's a lot that is like has potential here. Or I could totally see you being like, and that's a good amount, a good amount, And I just want to say, like, we're not a video podcast. We want everyone to be comfortable and not always, camera ready. And do you want to say how you identify for the people who can't see you?
Oh, yeah. I am a Black, gay, cisgender man. Mm-hmm. I like long walks on the beach.
Okay. All right, throw it out there. You're single. Let's go.
I'm very single, ready to mingle. And
went through not the ones, ready for the next.
So many not the ones.
The next refreshing views. Yeah.
Absolutely. Or just fun for now. Have some people that are friends with benefits.
Nothing like a sizzle date. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like let's have some fun.
Exactly.
Okay.
No, that's how I identify. Yeah. So the podcast was. I just felt like I was working through a lot. It started with TikTok poetry, which I have poetry on my TikToks and Instagram. Me doing poetry, making digs at my ex.
Right.
Because I feel like here's the thing is that sometimes when you have an abusive partner, people feel like there's 2 sides to the story.
Okay.
People feel like, it's like, I don't feel like, how do I put it? Because we were in mutual circles, like church, mutual friend circles, groups, and like, it seemed like the narrative spun to him a lot. And how I knew that was with how dismissive people were, how like one time I was at church and
we're like smirking and laughing, like we get it. This is 22.
I'm sitting here saying, well, there are 2 sides to it. There's the abused and the abuser.
Well,
exactly.
I'm sitting here saying there's 22 sides to it because once you start adding all the places you all were, like in my experience of relationships, you may know people in different contexts, so they're gonna come out with like different versions of you guys, So, but. Go ahead.
Thank y'all for saying that too, because it's honestly still hard to talk about it because I always have that idea of like, what if I'm not believed? And like, what if people doubt my story and I'm just like, all I can do is tell the truth.
Hey, so if you want to hear the tea, it is on his podcast, what is it named?
Power of the Narrative.
Power of the Narrative.
It's on Spotify, Apple Music.
Some people like that. You know, they like that juicy tea. But
yeah,
you know,
please, go ahead.
I don't want to undersell it though, because there is that, but there's also this other thread that you're taking on, which may or may not be a part of your nonprofit. I'm not quite sure, but you are highlighting people in their trauma that specifically have either gotten over some very serious stuff, different types of abuse. And the way you take on the interview is very caring. And the way you take on the interview, in my impression, was that it's very listener friendly. Like, I don't try to listen to trauma to gain more trauma. Like, I'm very hesitant. I don't want to be rewounded, but you talk about some heavy topics with people, and what I like about it is they share what got them through. So if that's the first time somebody's ever heard of someone who's gotten through like domestic violence, they're going to hear some takeaway things that might help them in the moment of their own violence, which is really a beautiful thing. Thank you. Yeah. And then you have some interviews so far, and who knows how much you've banked, but that are showing intense cases that are still open. So you're like, in my impression of it, giving voice and a platform to people who might be ignored after a certain point.
Yeah.
Was that the intention of the interview and the nonprofit? How do you want your listener to listen that? Yeah,
I think for the podcast, overall my work centers around people who, don't have space in society. Like, the people who get the person that gets the most space is a cisgender white male that has money, because we have to make that distinction because, white men think they're the shit. No, I'm kidding.
A lot of them do.
They do.
Yeah.
But those are people that get the space, and those are people that get the permission to feel pain. Pretty much my podcast, when I started it, was I didn't get the space to talk about my experiences and my truth. And, when I did, it was people who tried to give advice, tried to make me see both sides, et cetera, et cetera. So when one interview that still sticks to me to this day is Courtney Navarro's interview. Because Courtney Navarro also does poetry on TikTok. Her interview was so surgical that when I was doing it, I had to decompress, because there's always a decompression. There's always aftercare done. And then when I listened back to it, I was like, holy shit,
covered a lot.
She did. And she did it I think her stillness is what gets me, because she can recount a lot of things in stillness. And, my approach as a host in my podcast is I'm not here to save them. I'm here to witness them. Sure. And, how that looks is, I'm asking questions to help them flesh out their own story, their narrative. And, I take it from the trauma to the growth, who you are now, where you want to go. And I try to make very sure not to re-traumatize a guest, not to exploit them. Like when I sign media release forms, for them, I'm usually saying, hey, reach out to me if you change your mind about the episode, or if something comes up, I can cut parts of the episode. Yeah. And then, I evolved that work from, Courtney and Emma. It's Courtney, Emma, Brandon. And then as I evolved the work, I started to... So I'm a true crime buff. I'm a true crime buff.
There's a little thread in there, because I was like, how is he doing this? Is he a social worker? Is he... you're obviously not exploiting them. It's a caring tone. You're not asking them to go into any rough detail. It's a good vibe. And it's also but I personally, if you're just hitting your podcast from one of those episodes, people may not know your intention of having them on there.
That's right.
Because that part's not in an intro, or they may not know. And so I just honestly didn't, but I could feel the caring in there.
Yeah. My experience, and this sort of goes with yours, and it's certainly with a different population than what you're talking about, is that the abused person rarely gets the ability to actually have their story heard. The abuser is usually loud and proud and and making things up right and left and just throwing everything out there, and everyone's like, "Oh, you poor thing, you had someone that didn't let you do it up again," or and I that's basically psychologically crushing. So it's like just the continuation of abuse. And sometimes it takes someone who has been abused, which I guess would be traumatized. I'm old enough that the term trauma is different meaning to me, but I do understand it. Someone that's been traumatized, it just extends it. And it frequently takes them forever to be able to talk about it. And part of it is they don't think anyone will believe them. They don't think that anyone will care if they do believe them, which is almost worse. And so, so they're sort of like put in a box, and usually their basic tendency is to be introverted anyway. So it's not a totally uncomfortable thing to not be able to get your narrative out, if you will, or get your side of it out. But, frequently, I mean, I've known a bunch of people, and they're like, well, what about me? What about, what about what happened from my end? And usually nobody says anything or gives them any chance to explain it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really good.
Man, I'm glad you said that, because I was telling Robin a bit of this earlier when I walked in, but there's a male support group it's a whole organization, big organization, that choosing to leave anonymous for right now.
Sure. Let's not,
but me and my ex and I were in this group, and we're in different support groups outside of that in the organization, and I actually got a phone call from one of the high up leaders in the group today who said that a lot of group members saw my social media posts about my ex, about my episodes, and they were very uncomfortable. I don't know why, but they were very uncomfortable.
You don't know why they didn't call you.
And no, I didn't. And I'll disclose to the audience, I had a suicide episode 6 months ago. I told these guys, because this is a male support group and this is what we deal with. So they used that as justification to go to the leader and say, well, keep in mind he had a suicide episode 6 months ago. They said I was breaking confidentiality policy, which is like what goes on in the group stays in the group. But none of the stuff I was talking about was actually about anybody in the group except me and my ex.
Right.
And
can I make a comment about your suicide episode? Yeah. Just for everybody.
Yeah, go ahead.
A very alive person sitting here. So obviously it was successfully dealt with.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Right. What the funny thing you say about that too is like when people hear you're suicidal, like they're like, don't want to touch it, but
sure, there's a lot of stigma. I mean, it takes vulnerability to even share that.
I mean, if we could get true surveys, I think if you did the LGBTQ community, you would find that the rate of people who have at one time or another felt like they were suicidal is amazingly high.
Yeah.
And yet we're still around.
And attempts, some of these places that have support groups have avoided having chat spaces that even talk about attempts, and so that's a big deal. And so, but to your point that you were making, and we can come back to this, but if you're listening, like just stay along with it, right? Yeah. But like the point that you're talking about, somebody calling you to address the uncomfortableness.
Yeah, I hope I didn't scare your listeners off. By the way.
No. So where are you going with it, though? It has you feel some sort of way.
Well, I think that's like because this isn't so much me venting. This is more so about an example of like that too muchness, like that.
Because she was saying like people who are abused or harmed also have to assess the situation that you were pointing to is like, what is too much? Can the people handle it? What are the repercussions of voicing what happened?
I think it was too much for me to hold all that in. My ex broke with me over the phone. I asked him if he could please talk to me in person about everything. He ghosted me. I forgot my point about the church.
Sure.
I stopped going to this church, Unity of Houston, because it's so he did this thing I call narrative domination, which is basically like by the time I was talking to people at the church, he was like, he talked to everybody we used to know, like, and just explaining his side of things, I'll say. And I remember talking to this one girl, and I was like, "Oh, I'm Jacob, by the way." And she's like, "Yeah, I know everything about you. I just talked to your ex last week, and we had a 2-hour conversation about everything." And I was like, I was cringing so hard.
And you had just met this person, and they had a 2-hour conversation about you.
Yes, I was like...
From someone else's view. Yeah. See, people want that tea. They'll eat it up. That's not great. That's not great.
And the key is they had a 2-hour conversation about you, not with you.
So I got uncomfortable. And then
of course you got uncomfortable.
I got uncomfortable. I didn't go back. Also, my ex was there at the church every single time, just staring me down. And I was like... So it's one of those things where I feel like the key theme here, not just through the breakup, but like... You know, because I'm healed. I'm healed. Things will come up, and that's okay.
Oh, it's an onion. There's layers.
Yes, exactly.
There's layers.
I'll probably be unpacking this for years to come.
Well, it's okay. I don't know. I mean, it's not just grief. It's like maybe it's grief. I don't know. Like,
it's a lot of grief.
No,
it's
Alexis shaking her head. No.
Oh yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm saying you're shaking my head. No,
it's not grief.
No, it's not grief. It's embarrassment and ego, and usually. What I've seen is, people are really coming from the fact that they can't believe they let that happen to them and didn't speak out or didn't do something different. And it's embarrassing whether you want to admit it or not, because it beats up your ego.
Breakups are hard. I was in a 6-year relationship.
You're right.
Yeah, I was in a 6-year relationship, and I spent maybe 2 years afterwards hearing other people's thoughts, comments, needs to decompress about my breakup. Now, mind you, these people were not in my relationship. They were maybe not even around my relationship. But they had an idea of who me and my partner were in the world. And it had a feeling that it left in them in a good way. So when we broke up, it was like I had to hold their hand about it. And then that, like, the original comments, I kind of understand. But when it gets on to be about 2 years, and we're in a big city, but it operates like a small town. And so there were just,
the gay people here.
Yeah.
The queer people here.
Yeah, and we were in circles where, like a few circles where we were known. And then when you start to become your own self again, to some degree, you're making new friends, you're meeting new people. You think, oh, these people haven't heard of me, or, oh, it's a fresh start, or, oh, it's been 2 years. Like, we're both fine. We've both moved on. Well, I was at my job one day, and a lady came and she was new, and I introduced myself to her, and she said exactly what that person said to you was, "Oh, I know who you are.
Oh my God.
I know your ex." And I was like, we are at work, First of all, in my mind. Second of all, who says that? And I have to recover from this in my mind, And she says, "Well, I know exactly what happened, and I don't want to talk to you." I'm like, we are well into our 30s, okay? People do not age out of drama, okay? And so I luckily just exited out of that conversation, went on about my day, did my business like I needed to, like a professional. And then afterwards, I got off of the shift, and I called her. And I said, "Look, we are 2.5 years out from this. This is affecting my work, and I need to talk about it." And she said, "Wow. So I want you to know that I know the person she's talking about. We're not friends. And I used to share about my breakup for my own healing. But where people take it from there, it sounds like she was just needing to pick sides. And I've never asked anyone to do that." And I said, "Okay." And she goes, "And I want you to know, I'm not actively sharing about you ever, not because of any hard feelings, but because, I have my whole day going on, my whole life, like whatever." And I said, "Okay, well, it made me feel better to just name it and say, like, this is enough." And, it wasn't enough in, like, stopping some of the drama and the processing between us, but like outward people, like, to some degree it was. And those are just hard moments. And what I've learned is it's not perfect, but if you can have some setup lines on how to get through, like, I will take this up with this person. Thank you. Like, not you, Exactly. And I went back to the coworker because we have to work together, and I said, "Look, I think we're under a different interpretation and, a different story of what actually happened. Her and I are fine." And she says, Oh, I know. I was PMSing. I took it out on you, and honestly, I didn't want this job, and my cousin was telling me I should be more like her, and all she does is talk about her, and I'm just honestly fed up. But honestly, I shouldn't have taken that out on you. And I'm like, okay, just yet again, a whole nother world I never thought I would hear, and I said, here's the thing. We're working together. Let's have a fresh start. And her and I ended up being friends, like, just because we left it alone. But, like, I had no idea where she was coming from. I didn't even know her.
Wow. Isn't that crazy how much she's projecting onto you?
Oh, people project a lot, right?
But,
Yes.
but it's simple. Humans.
Humans.
Yeah.
Humans. Yeah, humans.
And, you have no idea what they're thinking, what they're going to do, and where it takes them in their minds.
Seriously.
Yeah. People need stories. And then hero villain is always a good moral categorization.
I sort of like being the villain.
Yeah, I'd be a sexy villain.
You gotta have like a few villains. Yeah.
That way I know where I stand.
I love it.
I like those memes that say I'm in my villain era.
I am in my villain era.
There are certain projects that we've done together where people come over and they're complaining to me, and I'm like, wait, you do understand I'm not the nice one. That's the nice one over there
I'm
with
the
the
nice
red
one,
hair.
so she doesn't have to be.
Good cop. You should name it good cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if it's like a banquet we're putting together a week or two out before the banquet, no, I am not a nice person
She's not
anymore.
a nice person. Yeah.
Totally directed, 100% getting it done.
Which means everyone comes to me.
Yeah.
At least you're honest.
Yeah. At least we know our rules.
Yeah. Because I'd be like, okay, I'm just going to take orders. This be about business. I'm going to go for emotional support to Robin.
Well, what are some of the care things that you do? Like, that's actually something that we're bumping up against. So some people do choose their characters to sort of step into and sort of highlight their next chapter of their narrative. I know you're a poet, and I know that you want to work with kids, but you're working with all ages. Like, what are some things that you do for care around all these conversations of trauma?
That's a good question. So you're basically asking me, like, what archetype do I step into when I'm doing this work? Maybe,
or like, is that a part of it?
Yeah, it is, because I feel like there's a different personality I take on when I do this work. I'm the mirror holding space. I'm reflecting back a lot of positive things, not toxic positivity, but like in a way that person knows and owns their power. Especially I think about, because I'm still new to working with families that have missing loved ones. I think the person I step into with that is very much about, the key question is, how can I help this family tell a compelling narrative? And it's not so much for show, it's more so about like, what is the strengths in their story? How can we amplify that? How can I hold space for this family? Because nobody's up to this point listened to them. Because, medias have news cycles to chase, police officers will try for a bit and give up. And actually working with the Texas Center for Missing, I've found that, police departments won't say that they don't have any leads, or they won't say they give up. They'll just wait till the family gives up.
So you actually worked with them as an employee, or you had something going on? Like, what's the label there?
We're in partnership with each other. So we have like a formal memorandum of understanding. So we're in partnership together. Okay. And they will refer people that want to have their cases featured.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. But there's this one case on my podcast, the newest one, Jared Chavez. His case was fumbled so much, and it's been 7 years, and I just grieve for that family. Like when I'm done with these podcasts with them, I like have so much anger. Like I have to let that go. Not let it go, let it out, grieve it. So the person I usually step into is somebody that is, caring, can hold space for that. I think that's the big thing, is that I was labeled as too much throughout my life, and now I can hold space for the stories that are deemed too much. That is a strength of a lot of my work, is that I can hold space for stories that people wouldn't, want to hear, have the capacity to hear. Because I pride myself on being very emotionally intelligent. So I know my emotions, I know myself, I know where they end, I begin. So that's usually the person I step into. And so I'm glad you hear like a caring aspect of it too, because that's what I try to do. I don't really talk too much in the podcast. Like I'll talk to like and it's definitely evolved over time. Like I'll ask a question, use my dialogue to steer conversation back to them more. But I'm not talking that much. Probably the most I've talked in episodes with my friend Brandon.
Sure, you're actually friend talking.
Yeah, we've been friends for years, and we were just going back and forth. And then, but I like the role of being the mirror. That's probably the big thing. Like I can reflect back a lot of what you told me. You know, like this is how you present the story. This is what I'm seeing. What do you think? How like, my favorite question is like, what would you say to young so-and-so? Like young, for Courtney, it was like, what would you say to young Courtney? And she's like, I love you. I love you so much. Thank you for everything. And I was like, after that podcast, I had to go cry. I was like, what am I going to say to young Jacob?
I was about to say, the obvious question is.
That aftercare is something that maybe people don't know what to do or how to do if they're not emotionally intelligent, but they hit on a lot of emotions. Like those things are heavy topics. So I'm glad that we're talking a little bit about that. And Alexis, you look like you want to say something, or
of course I do.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, no. What I was I'm just going to clarify. So, the things you're doing, you're working with the family more than the police. You're working peripherally with the police or a little bit with them, because with TFA, Transgender Foundation of America, one of the things that we did for a lot of years was work with the police to get them actually interested in doing anything about transgender incidents. But that was directly with the police to actually get them to do something, if you will.
My specialty is narrative justice. So like, I'm working with the families to like craft a narrative, help them control the narrative, because I'm anti-exploitation. So meaning that I'm like, hey, how's this video? How do you want it to sound? But I mean, if you ever watch Scandal, because I'm binging Scandal right now, Olivia Pope, that's how I feel like I am. It's narrative, domination. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, do you do anything with the DA's office?
I haven't yet. I've reached out to them to do juvenile work, but I haven't gotten in partnership with any of the police here yet.
You should schedule a meeting with Sean Tier.
John Tier?
Sean Tier, the DA.
Okay. Sean's
very open for those sorts of things.
Okay. I thank you for saying that, because I would not have expected that.
I know. That's why I said it.
I actually appreciate that, because actually...
Our previous DA, I wouldn't have suggested it.
And
just saying, without names being mentioned.
Yeah,
that's okay.
They can do their own Google search.
Yeah, Wikipedia exists.
They can do their own search.
They can do their own search. I don't want to make it easy for them.
Yeah, Sean. Okay, I'm going to remember that and reach back out to his office.
And you can tell him that I suggested you talk to him if you'd like. Sean will know who I am.
Okay. That is... Dang, I had something to say, then I forgot it. Don't you hate when you have a thought?
That's all right. Let's see if it comes back up.
I did that on purpose.
Let's see if it comes back up.
If it doesn't come back up, it probably wasn't that important.
It'll come back up at like midnight when I'm not even here anymore.
Oh, yeah. Mine are 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Writing notes, because otherwise I can't go back to sleep.
Right.
Was it along the lines of which groups you work with or haven't gotten into yet?
So,
mine was like, actually, I want to talk about my villain costume.
Now you're stealing my thunder. What I was going to say is I guess the question I have, do you do follow-ups on some of these things, or is it a one-time and done type thing?
I try to stay in contact with everybody, because I don't want to feel like they got ghosted. Because every guest has told me that I'm very open to doing another episode. So I've not done a follow-up episode on anybody just yet. But I do stay in contact.
Because it's still new.
Right. There's someone on there, Wayne Chella. I just did his interview. Amazing director. He directed this film that I love called Insignificant. Basically, he discloses a history of like priest sexual abuse, and I didn't know that because it's not Googleable. It's not any of his platforms.
That's not fair. That was my next question. Do you have anyone accidentally disclose things or disclose things that you didn't know about?
Him.
Maybe it just felt like he felt like safe enough to say it. Or,
I think that's which it doesn't freak me out. Full disclosure, I was abused as a child too. It doesn't make me uncomfortable.
Right.
But yes, probably every guest has probably disclosed something I was like, I didn't know that when I Googled you.
So Google doesn't know
Wait a minute.
all.
Google doesn't know everything. Wait a minute.
We figured that out too.
Wait a
Fortunately,
minute.
Google doesn't know all.
Yeah. Well, why were you wondering if he follows up with people, just in general?
No, because these seem like things that almost need to be followed up on.
Yeah.
And almost, it's almost like a Dateline series.
Yeah.
Or a true crime series or something like that. But Dateline would be more like it, where what I'm picturing in my mind is a follow-up where you go do a 5-minute interview with several different people and sort of do updates for people. Because I would think people could get very interested in the case, et cetera, and a little update might do something.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because like when I post like the missing cases on like TikTok, I'll hashtag a lot of different things, and they'll get good views. This is new, but Christian Menifee and somebody else, Amanda Walker, are running for Sylvester Turner's chair. So I actually emailed Christian Menifee's office yesterday to ask if he would be open to talking with the family. Because the best thing that people could do is give media exposure to those families, which I haven't gotten a reply back yet. We'll see what happens. But since I wear a lot of hats. One of the other hats is being precinct chair for my district.
It's good to accessorize. Yeah.
I want to get more politically involved because of what's going on.
So you are a precinct chair.
I am a precinct chair.
What does that involve for you?
Which district?
District.
You're supposed to know this.
No, hold on. The was my warm up. Congressional District 18, Precinct 0606.
Okay. I'm supporting Amanda. I'll just open it up there.
That's fine.
Some people are surprised because they think I'd be supporting Christian because we're friends.
They're both Democrats. So,
yes, they are. So are the other 20, or however many I think are running.
Like how many people are
changing hourly.
Yeah.
I'm hoping the best person.
And you can't say anything because you're precinct chair. You have to be somewhat neutral except for voting.
Yeah, that's why I offered both candidates the opportunity. Well, okay, first, my stuff is outside of precinct. But yes, you're right. Precinct chair. So what that involves is usually canvassing. Like I go to people's houses that voted, talk to them. But I actually want to, which I was telling the other leadership this for the party, I want to run narrative justice town halls. So what that looks like is centering the people back on a lot of these issues. Like you'd be surprised in our precinct. Sometimes the issues isn't. Well, of course, it is rent and evictions, but also some things are like this street hasn't been fixed in years, and we need somebody that's going to do that. And it's centering the people back in these issues and building rapport in the community, because I think. A lot of communities have the narrative that we see this politician every 2 to 4 years asking for our votes. We don't see any real change. And
wait, asking for our votes and money.
And money.
Yeah. Some people, their votes more important than money. Other people, the money's more important than votes, I'm convinced.
It's really
but
important.
They want both.
They want both.
Really important. I live in the near north side, and in that area, if you know of 45 in the Heights, it's on the other side of 45 from the Heights.
Yeah.
Near North Side was the first developed place in Houston that I know of, because I think it's the highest elevation. And there is a large Spanish-speaking population there, and sometimes the crime rate is high around the schools because they have like a lot of houseless people that are getting services, and we're getting services there. And sometimes it's mental illness, sometimes it's opportunity, but their kids were getting jumped and trying to get to school. And one of the kids, unfortunately, lost their life. I think his name was Josue. And then they started a walk our students to school sort of initiative, so they got to school safely. And when Chief Acevedo took his seat, there was a city town hall to talk about what this new police chief brings and whatnot. Well, the Safe Walk initiatives and the principal were there, and I have goosebumps. It was like about 70 people, shoulder to shoulder, ass to ass, in the building, and a lot of news crews, and they were just saying, like, if we do not see solution with this. We just can't go any further. We have to see this. We need the cops' help. Because anytime you called in crime, it would get bounced from HPD to Metro. And then the principal of the school said, like, I'm doing the best I can. I make sure everyone leaves the school, and I'm staying till very late hours. But I also don't even know who to call, right? And this was a couple years ago now. But one of the little kids asked Acevedo, "Can you please open up a police station next to the school? Like, then maybe me and my brother will be safe." And he said, "I can't do that because that's going to be a lot of money, and it's not going to lead to where you want it to go. But what I can do is put more people in the area in a friendly way and come and look at all the hot spots with the actual citizens on like what demographics is he actually taking on when he was taking on the city." And I have to say that although there's a lot of trauma between citizens and cops, to say the least, doing some ride-alongs with people in that neighborhood to point out the difference between a crime spot or just place that houseless people are living, or just, this is where the lines stop and start between HPD and Metro, gave a lot of clarity. And it started creating those paths. It started creating literal sidewalks because they didn't have a lot for the kids to walk on to even get to school. So it started putting in infrastructure, which got the city council member involved in it. And, they started creating bridges that just were not there to be able to be created before, because they kept getting no answer, no answer, no answer. So if we do have some of those leaders that are willing to make those bridges, they don't even last all the time, though, because you change chiefs, you change activists, you change students.
You change mayors.
Mayors. It has to be recreated, unfortunately. But it's worth it. However, the narrative justice can ripple. That was out of one town hall meeting.
Right.
But it was the actions that came out of it, too.
And, wow, first of all, that's an incredible story.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
And I think that is the power. That's collective power. And I think it's like for instance, the No Kings protest, which was a fabulous demonstration. When I see that, I think about how emotionally people are affected politically by a lot of issues. And I think about, to say the least, I think about what if we could concentrate that power? Like, what if that could be like a reoccurring thing where, and I think that's what I try to teach. That's what I want to teach people is how do you get heard when powers that be ignore you? Where do you go? Because also sometimes it's a resource thing. Some people don't know what pressure points to hit on the system to make people listen.
Yeah, and one of the things, and I've spent a lot of time doing a lot of education on this, is that a lot of times the people that they decide they're going to discuss things with and get upset with can't help them.
Exactly.
I mean, we've backed so far off of teaching civics in high school that people don't know what various parts of the government do.
They don't know.
And, hollering at the county for something that only the state can do doesn't make any sense when you really get down to it. What you need to do is go talk to them, make them allies, and then go to the state where they can do it. But that takes a whole lot of education and coordination, which can be done, and we've done a bunch of that.
Yeah, and you never know who's in the room, and you never know where it goes after the room, because a lot of people are not radioing back. Like, I know those stories because I knew the activists that were on the ride-along. I know that story because I showed up for the town hall. I know that story because I really wanted to know who the hell Acevedo was and what chapter were we stepping in with our next city official, right? And when we went to, what was it, F-Bar?
F-Bar, yeah.
And he did an LGBT, maybe political caucus meet and greet. It was funny because he got on the mic and he says, look, I'm from... I think, where was he coming from? Like Florida or Austin, somewhere like open and accepting, right? And so he was like, I know the LGBT, and
when they mess up the letters,
he was doing
when
pretty
they start
good.
slowing down.
Yes,
He's doing pretty good. He's doing pretty good. He's doing better than most. And then he like stumbled on one, and he's like, what letter am I missing? Like, that is just a great question. It's a great question, but it's a tough crowd.
Yeah.
And then someone said like I for intersex, right? And
well, except the intersex haven't decided whether they want to be in there or not.
Sure. Sure. Again, tough crowd, mixed messages, right? And even in the crowd, okay, but we have high standards for this cop, right? And he asked, like, which one am I missing, right? And then his follow-up was, can we stop adding letters? You know,
I felt the same way.
which makes complete sense when you're trying to memorize acronyms, okay? But it doesn't make complete sense when you're somebody who's responsible for the people that those letters represent that only came out to be a letter in the acronym because they felt safe. And so I said, those letters are people. And he said, now that I can get behind. And I was like, okay, you know, it was powerful.
The funniest thing was that there were some demonstrators, anti-police, period.
Right.
We don't need any police.
Totally
and, you know, I mean, we need police. I mean,
Sure.
we need the right kind of police, but we need police. There's no question.
But we also need police agitation. Like, there's room for all of it.
And it was, the funniest thing was they showed up, and then halfway through, they pulled their mask up. Now, they've been sitting there talking to everyone, but now they don't want anyone to know who they are.
This is great. It was a rainy day, and everyone in the club knew who each other were, except for these young kids that were getting increasingly uncomfortable.
Right.
Because they were about to do a flash protest.
Yeah.
And so all the elders, because they're like, let's say 20, and everybody was at least 10, 15 years older, you know, we all know each other. They go up and they start to yell something like, shut up, pig, or I don't know.
No police, get rid of the police, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And so they're right in front of the stage, and Aceveto's standing there, and he's like, you know, if you want to turn around and ask any questions, I'll answer them.
Yeah, they had their backs to him, you know.
Like, I'm right here.
Yeah, and it made it worse because
they panicked.
They were nervous, which we're laughing because they're actually... They're community members of some sort that care. They're clearly LGBT, like, radicals. And they were in the most accepting group they could protest in
right.
against this cop that was not bringing, like, nothing but kindness and probably going to, like, offer them the mic in a minute, you know. Yeah. But they were like...
Well, he did. He said, you know, if you want to say something...
But then they got spooked because they were, like, scared, so then they ran out. But they threw these flyers on...
They threw flyers
like,
everywhere.
anti-cop flyers.
And Ray Hill said, you know, if you'd given us the flyers, we would have handed them out for you.
Yeah, you don't understand, like, we're actually all friends here, you know. And, I mean, Ray Hill's, like, known for, like, agitating the cops and holding them accountable, right? So, and then the owner was like, who's going to pick up the litter, you know, like, and, you know, you know, and we carried on with the, like, meet and greet.
But the police officer that was with Acevedo, as I guess his security, I don't know, who was standing by the door, you know, sort of watched him leave. And when I walked up and I'm like, did they get out okay? And she said, well, they showed up in the car that's parked right there. They went running down the street. Says, I think they were so spooked and scared that they didn't even stop for their car.
Like, I mean, you're in a room full of people who have coordinated actions. And they want to make sure you're okay during your action. Like, that was the vibe.
And, you know, and the fact is that not everyone agreed with them. Well, welcome to the world.
Yeah. Even our own community, we don't have the same agreements and the same, how we're going to get to the same futures, right?
But the key is, nobody was going to shut them up.
Right.
I mean, there was a time when they kept stuttering through what they were trying to say, and I sort of got close to them and made it uncomfortable for them, so they moved on out because it's like, you know, we only have a certain amount of time.
Right.
Oh.
But you know, it's stuff like that I find interesting with our community because, you know, there was nobody there that was negative.
Right.
And it would have been better for them if they just hung around, but they didn't.
But they would have learned a lot, and they would have been in good company. And you look like you want to say something. Go for it.
Yeah. No, I'm just thinking on everything because it's touching on something I've been thinking about lately, where I feel like there's energy behind the movements. You know,
lots of movements.
Yeah, which I know I have my own grievances about the police. I'm mostly frustrated with the system.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that could change.
And we all are.
I mean,
you know, to our different levels, for sure.
My view is that there are good police, there are bad police, and they're scared police.
They're scared police. And
the scared police are the ones that worry me, even more than the bad police, because I know how to deal with people who are just basically bad and out to do bad things. The scared police, it's legitimate. I mean, I get it. They're doing things that can be scary as all get out, and we're asking them to put their life on the line. Well, sorry, that's the job.
Yeah.
And we do everything we can to give you protective equipment and all like that, but that still doesn't mean you're going to be safe and go home at night.
Right.
And
I mean, my view is I don't want cops, but I don't have a peace plan that could be implemented in the world that we currently live in.
Right.
So, like, if we have been given an example just from 2020 to 2025, we are not all on the same peace plan, including the cops, right? And so, I mean, to the point where, honestly, I won't go to protests because it's not safe. And I did appreciate that the No Kings, what do you say? Was that a protest? Or
that was a protest.
Okay, protest.
Yeah.
You know, their main vibe the whole time was like trying to keep it from escalating and to keep it safe, like nationally. Yeah. I was really glad to see that. I think for the most part that happened. But I mean, I didn't think that was going to happen. Not 1 second did I think that was going to happen, because it feels like everyone is where the media, their rhetoric, and our nervous systems would have us be like on edge, which is why I try so hard in my efforts to have people have decompressing support for their nervous system, to have education, to have connection, because those things matter. But to Alexis's point, what also matters if you want to make a difference is talking to the people who can actually help you. And that's hard to know. It is hard to know.
And getting in to talk to them is hard too. I mean,
and the seasons in which they'll talk to you. Like you said, last DA is not the same as this DA. No. Well, guess what? That takes a lot of voting, and a lot of work.
And it takes a lot of pre-work. A lot of people are like, well, this person got elected, they're in there now, so, they should talk to me. Well, they should talk to you if you've worked with them for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, you do a lot of courting. Like, you have to court them over time. And I know that you've done a lot of talk with, a lot of consulting with, like, CDC over the years of, like, what to fear, what not to fear for the actual cops, because they're not educated on all things.
No.
No.
And how could they be?
Yeah. And so it's sort of scary, if you will, because they have guns. And my view is that they pull them out way too often, and they miss way too often. And that's not saying that, I want more people shot. It's saying if they are going to shoot, I don't want them to hit somebody who wasn't supposed to get hit.
Right.
Which really sucks.
Yeah. And in Houston, they do citizen ride-alongs. I had a roommate side conversation where I came home and her new thing that she was doing for herself was she wanted to get to know the cops. And I was like, okay. And she said, so I signed up for this Houston program where you can do different parts of citizen follow along. So they allow you to do a little picking of what you want to do, and then some of it you have to do things before you get to other things. For instance, you have to have a little bit of training before you're actually riding along in a cop car. And you have to do a little bit of training before you work with the airport and bomb dogs. And I'm not the type of person that wants to hang around cops. I don't have any hard feelings about it, but that's just not my thing. And to like put yourself in those programs just because you wanted to learn more, I think was courageous. But she really had a lot of insight by being in the moment and doing those programs. And she really got a lot of insight about like airport security and dogs and things. And they were training the new dogs. And she was like going from wearing like the fake explosives to the real explosives. I mean, they have to train the dogs. They use citizens to do this. And I was just floored hearing her experience when she came home, and one of the examples that she said on the ride along, which she worked herself up to, was the cop said, whatever you do in Houston, after like 9 p.m., try not to drive in the right-hand lane on the highway.
Yep.
Okay.
Which honestly would be my go-to lane because I feel like it's the slowest lane. But the reason why, they said, because after 9, there's a lot of intoxicated people that go up the exit ramps and causes accidents. And I'm like, oh my God. I thought the accidents were just in the fast lane. No. So you learn different tips. You learn things that you wouldn't think you would learn. No, not that I'm advocating to do that program, but I'm just saying, like, there's a whole world there that people don't know about.
And, my biggest thing is, most of the police that patrol this area I have met. Mm-hmm. And, if they're sitting there doing watching the stop sign or something, if I'm outside, I'll go over and sort of wave, and I'm like, just want to say hi. I'll get out of your way in a minute. I live right down there.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they've seen my face, they know who I am. Chances are they'll say, oh, okay, yeah, that's a neighbor that lives right down there. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's very, very nice protection, if you will. Well, most of them are friendly. If they aren't, then whoever they work for will get some complaints, whether it be constable or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Well, where do you see the chapter evolving with the podcast and the nonprofit, ideally, if it was coming together? Because I know you've gone and spoke to school boards about the mental wellness that is needed, which we all know across the board is like really harsh. It's like they're not getting helped.
Or non-existent.
Yeah, non-existent. That's what I was looking for. Yeah. Thank you. And it needs a lot of support. Do you feel like they're going to be open to your programs? Are you like getting some people that are supportive with the government contracts or anything?
Yeah, these are very great questions. First of all, no. Mm-hmm. But to expand
in short,
on that, no. What's funny is that I actually was pitching programs to them because they approved me as, first of all, 5 districts approved me to be vendors in their district, like Humble, Cy-Fair, A-Leaf, Aldine, and Texas City.
That's a good amount.
Yeah. And all of them, well, especially Humble, because when I gave that school board speech, it was at Humble ISD, gave me the runaround for months. They weren't open to the idea of like a trauma-informed educational program. And the director of student success actually has said like, well, we already have programs like that. We have mental health therapists. We have different things. And I'm like, but I'm pretty sure if I pry like students and parents, like I'm pretty sure that doesn't meet all their needs. Mm-hmm. And actually she had told me verbatim, which I have it on a recorded phone call, but she was like, you're giving me a problem that hasn't even like become a problem yet. And I was like, what kind of leader what kind of leader waits for a problem to happen?
Ooh, good question.
Good
question.
So actually that's been a whole saga because she was like, well, let me see your data from your pilots. And I sent it to her. Mm-hmm. She's like, this isn't what we want. And, the background of that is that I reported them to Texas Educational Agency for a lot of different things. And so the phone call goes to them. But all that being said, what's funny is what I've learned is that districts are not open to actually the kind of work that we do. And districts are very risk averse. They're not open to innovation until people forces them to do it. Mm-hmm. And so initially when I made, my academic arm through my nonprofit Sinclair Scholars, which I just like the name Sinclair. Nice. It's like on a fancy, like little vibe.
You get that job vibe.
Exactly.
That boss vibe. Yeah.
But when I made it, like I have private students and like the school districts weren't interested in doing it. And when I thought about the trauma-informed aspect, I was like, I think I'm pitching this to the wrong people. Okay. Why school districts and not juvenile centers? Okay. Why not criminal justice centers? Why not? I had a meeting with Family Protective Services. Mm-hmm. I was like, this kind of program goes to kids that need it the most.
Okay.
But that's where I see the vision.
How did that meeting go?
Were they more open?
They were they were desperate open.
Really?
Nice.
No, they were good. So what they told me was to apply for, you have to apply for government contracts, which we applied for a contract that helps, pretty much helps parents do a lot of emotional regulation while gaining their kids back and keeping them in custody. Yeah. So they actually asked me to apply for contracts. The juveniles, I emailed multiple people in juvenile probation department. I haven't heard anything back. I really want to hear something back because,
Yeah, anyway. Getting state contracts or getting anything from the state, the best thing to do is go make sure you got your vendor numbers and apply for the right to do business with the state. A lot of people wait till after they get something and it'll go away while you're trying to get it.
Yeah. Oh my God. You know all that, like the whole game of contracts and RFPs, which is.
Oh yes.
And so she spent a good amount of her life helping people get up off the ground with a bunch of different contracts. And a lot of times with the Transgender Foundation of America, we do help people not get in the red tape with their nonprofits because, they have a great idea. They might have some support. And then Texas is not very transparent on how to get that stuff done. It's not very user friendly, if you'd say. So Alexis has helped a lot of people not get stuck in the weeds with that,
Yeah. The biggest thing that I'm stuck on right now, because I filed my 501c3 stuff, and the IRS takes their time. But,
you're going to hate me if I say this, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Yeah.
If you were following what we suggested on getting a 501c3, most people get theirs in 2 to 3 weeks at the most.
Yep.
I
filed Form 1023 easy.
Yeah, but that's all fine. But because you have to work it with the state and federal, and there's an order that if you get out of the order, they just put it off to the side for a while.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Which might happen,
And if you do it in the right order, then what happens is it just flows right on through.
And again, you're talking about access and education, and sometimes you don't know those things when you're doing it. But we've met a lot of people over the years that say, "Well, hey, I have this idea," and I'm like, "Awesome! Before you take steps on that idea, let's talk." And they're like, no, I think I got it. And then they're like,
I think we all got it.
And then usually we get a phone call. And one of the things that with TFA, if it's anything that goes around what Transgender Foundation of America does, we'll offer a fiscal sponsorship while you're getting your 501c3 so you can still do exactly what you were doing. Then we'll just hand you all the money or anything you got. So
I'm going to need to talk to y'all.
Yeah.
We've done 18 of those.
Well, and sometimes it's good that, they went their own way and they didn't ever get her off the ground anyway. It was just an idea. Not every idea
sometimes it works out just fine, and we'll help with that too.
Yeah, not every idea needs to be a nonprofit.
No.
But you've got some legs and you're working that. And in an ideal world, what support do you think you need?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that because I was about to say.
If you're putting on your magic wand costume now and you just said what you needed.
No, we're doing comic books now, right?
Yeah, I don't know. We gotta...
Board of directors, because holy shit, I'm realizing I cannot do all this alone.
Wow.
I have 2 volunteers because I put a listing of volunteer match, but board of directors, and I think what that looks like is people who believe in the vision of where we're going, my vision is the future of mental health and narrative justice, and what that looks like is serving populations like LGBTQ, racial minorities, et cetera, et cetera. I want to expand my work to juveniles too. So it's people who believe in the future of mental health and narrative justice. I can say, because I was thinking about this the other day, white supremacy, for instance, that's all really narrative. It's about who were the villains, who were the heroes. It's about how I internalize my worth as a Black man. And it's all these stories that I've been fed and people create. And I want to teach people, what if we could reclaim our own stories of ourselves? Right now the villains are immigrants, transgender people.
Well, the immigrant thing I always find humorous. Any large group. Ask anyone that's Native American to raise their hand, and ask everyone else to stand up, because the standing up people are all immigrants.
That's a very good point.
I'm sorry.
No,
we're all immigrants. Now, we immigrated different ways and all like that, but it doesn't matter unless you're Native American.
Right.
You're an immigrant.
Right, and that's bringing it back to the real narrative, instead of the ones that were told, sold, and pressed upon. That's the real deal.
And it's
there.
so we're beating up ourselves. Okay, I get that.
And it's only now that some history books include that.
Right.
And some just don't.
Don't.
The Pilgrims weren't exactly native.
Yeah, or kind.
Yeah, all true.
Yeah.
Man had a lot of STDs, but hey, that's neither here nor there.
Hey, get your checks.
But that's
get your
how
checks.
you get rid of the indigenous population.
Right.
But you were saying about narrative,
yeah,
and how you're thinking about.
So let me ask you a question, because this is one that's been sort of going through that I'm not clear on.
Sure. Yeah.
When you're talking about narrative justice, what I see when you say that, and it may be wrong because first time I heard the term was when Robin said that you look at narrative justice. So I've had a long time to think about it, day or two, something like that. But I presume what that really means is that you're bringing justice to the people that didn't really receive justice for whatever reason, and whatever justice means, by allowing them to express their story, to be heard, to get some closure, hopefully, and those sorts of things, rather than find the person and get them to court and all that. I mean, if that happens, that's fine. But am I correct on that?
Yeah, you're very correct. I think, especially for my perspective of narrative justice, it starts internally. It starts with the stories we tell ourselves. What do we internalize? And everything else you said, because honestly, there are not that many spaces or people that can give us space for our experiences, hold that space, not project, not give advice, XYZ. And narrative justice looks like to me what is the I want to say correct narrative, but I don't want to use that too harshly. What is a true narrative, and what power can you take over that? And so does that make
And I mean the thing that I just took from what you just said. I took it a slightly different way than I think you said it, because when you said what is a true narrative, because one of the things that I spend a lot of time thinking about is there's not just one truth. I mean, there are facts in certain things. You know, for instance, you can say, guys, this is a glass on the table, but you don't know anything else about it or how it came about because it's really just sand. And so, you know, I presume there's multiple narratives a lot of times.
There are, how do I put it? I think truth is subjective. Let me rephrase. You can choose the narrative you want to believe.
Yeah. And I was going to say, your truth isn't subjective, but truth in general is subjective, right?
Yes. Exactly.
That's a question. Yeah.
Can you repeat the question? I have ADHD.
No, there was a question. I mean, I didn't particularly, you just said yes, and I'm like, wait, I was asking a question. You know, I mean, like my truth is not subjective. It's mine. Yeah. But the overall truth on the same topic may be very subjective the way I see it.
Yeah, if we talk about personal, like just for instance, I'm very briefed on narcissist psychology, so they choose their own narratives. They choose and they'll spin the biggest, tallest, most quote unquote believable narratives. And I feel like if they can choose their narratives, why can't people who want to heal do that too? Mm-hmm. So, and that's what taught me that narrative is you choose your narrative, and I think my role in it is holding the space for you to reclaim yourself.
What are you laughing about?
Yeah. I'm trying not to say what I'm going to say anyway. I can't keep my mouth shut. I think we're all very briefed on narcissistic narratives right now.
Yeah,
we may not recognize
maybe
it.
Maybe an hour-to-hour briefing, a breaking news that's been broken briefing. I mean, a lot of briefing. Even when we don't want to be briefed, how does the brief keep briefing me? I thought I was close to off the grid, and it still briefs me. Yeah,
he has in his first term, he had the national alert thing.
Oh yeah,
and pinged. I was like, oh my god.
I was like, oh no, we can't turn that one off.
Yeah, when that happened, I was like, oh god, he's gonna start sending more messages. But what was also disturbing was not everyone got that message.
Yeah,
our systems are not always workable.
No, they're not.
Yeah, I was around a bunch of people that got the message, and I'm like, I didn't get it.
Thank God.
And then I'm like, I think I'm okay with this. I'm not going to start to troubleshoot it.
Yeah, but there are a lot of people that are choosing their narrative every single day. That's for sure. And I mean, some people still believe the world's flat, and to which I'm like, there's the Buddhists believe to wake people up is violent. I mean, sometimes you just have to leave people where they're at. But if it's going to affect your own health, we are in a crisis.
Wait, from sleeping?
Yeah, anything.
I agree with him.
Yeah.
I want to say, too, because we were talking about connections and relationships earlier.
Yeah.
I think I've I know that I've evolved a lot on my idea of connections with people, because I think stepping into this work means that, I've done a lot of my own healing and work. I have a lot of tools under my belt, and, a lot of people have, walked away from me in one way or another. And it triggers abandonment issues.
Sure.
I can say that very plainly. It triggers abandonment issues.
Sure. Why are you laughing?
Yeah.
Oh, that's one of my biggies.
Yeah. She has a nervous laugh for abandonment issues.
Oh,
Just kidding.
I didn't take it personally. I was like,
Oh no, it wasn't. I was just like, oh yeah, done that.
She's like, got that one. You got that one? Okay.
It's like, check that one off.
Yeah, I have that one too. Yeah.
Well, see, one of the things is if you've been around long enough, you had all of them.
Yeah.
Especially in our community.
Some wear and tear, yeah.
You become aware of them as you get older.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think the big thing I'm learning is that some people don't have the capacity to receive all of who you are.
That's true.
And how that looks is when I've gone on dates after my ex, and then like guys would be like, "Oh my God, I had an amazing time." XYZ, never hear from them again. Never hear from them again.
Like too much, too deep. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think they're very surprised that I'm very much somebody that's like mostly intelligent. I've done my work. I'm like, hey, we can date. This is what I'm looking for, a relationship, XYZ. Very clear to the point. Some guys are still performing.
Sure.
You have, I think genuine, quality connection is like far and few, but can be done. But I feel like people are doing their own work on themselves, and they can't receive a lot of what you give. So then they self-sabotage. That's probably a big thing that I'm very,
it's tricky. Like, you have to go with the space of trust, and like, it's really tricky. There's a lot of variables it takes to be in any sort of relationship, and it's hard to find out like what page everyone's on, or if it's even consistent, and it changes. That's the truth. Humans change. The truth they may be telling themselves is not the truth you're seeing, and vice versa with you too, right? Like, one of the things I like about you is your commitment to always be learning. And I think that when you're doing this type of work, that is an important skill. And I know a lot of social workers, and one of them said to me when I asked them, like, how do you do this work? And she said, oh, I didn't start off capable of doing this work. Yeah, I had to be repolished. I had to learn boundaries. I had to learn vulnerability. I had to learn tools. Like, people go to school, people like, take a long process long before they ever get into the depths of some of this. So, again, those tools are just helpful, but they're not even perfectly implemented. Like, therapists need their own therapist, Yeah. So I appreciate what it takes, and it's going to be that like evolving onion if we get the gift of staying here, right? Like, we're still here. We're figuring it out day by day, and it's wonderful to build bridges with you.
Yeah, I appreciate this podcast. I mean, like, it felt good to have a space.
And if we don't get better results in the next election, I'm blaming you.
Why me specifically?
Your precinct chair.
Oh, okay.
So I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're one of them. Now, I know a lot of precinct chairs. I'm blaming all of them, not just you.
Okay, good.
And then some of the people who are above the precinct chairs, I know also who know I'm blaming them.
I can mobilize my precincts. I think it's about trust and actually listening to them and building that relationship over time. I'm trying to think if I have any other things to say.
I was about to ask you if you had anything else to say.
Well, I have something to say. But
no!
Why don't you? What do you got? What do you got?
No, I think the big thing that hangs on my mind is definitely like the couple episodes I made about my ex and how people are uncomfortable, which, won't matter.
Course.
Yeah.
It's never great getting a phone call right before a podcast. So that's what happened. Yeah.
So, no, it was at 9 a.m. I was venting to my best friend about it.
Okay, good.
I think, I would want people to know that I didn't make any of those episodes to be petty. That's how it started. Trust me. But when I don't know if you know, but I released a phone call, the night that my ex, broke up with me over the phone. So I released the full audio phone call. But I did that for educational, because people really don't know. Like, you could tell people this guy was a narcissist, he did XYZ, but I want people to hear exactly what was going on and what I had to go through, and let that be somebody else's motivation to like leave or heal.
And you mentioned that you usually get like releases for the people that are on your podcast, like
right.
in the state of Texas, I don't think you have to acknowledge that you're recording somebody. Is that right?
It's a one-party consent state.
Okay.
You have more legal protection if you change the pitch, which his pitch of his voice is changed.
Okay.
Right.
It's put in an educational context, so there's more legal protection with that.
Okay. Well, at least you're knowledgeable about those things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, the one thing is that, the people who don't believe you and I guess aren't on your side but have taken somebody else's side, honestly, they usually don't matter much at all later.
Yeah. It's hard when it's fresh and when it's associated with all your groups, though.
I mean, the number, when I've seen things like that, it's like, I thought they mattered. They don't.
I have to acknowledge my supporters too, because there's been a lot of people who are showing me kindness and compassion and grace,
and you just concentrate on them and forget the others.
And your friend episode was, what was your friend's name? Brandon. Too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Brandon.
Yeah. I mean, just a lot of golden nuggets on what friendship is, and some of the like real daily issues that people are going through while dating. Right? Like there's your dating life, but then you also have like your daily life that connects to a lot of different sectors of your capacity, and it does impact your dating life. And I loved how Brandon highlighted like the relationship got him through some hard days in his life, and then the relationship caused hard days in his life.
Yes.
Right? Like we need to hear those realities, because all of the cookie cutter shows are just like too washed over with this Disney drama version, right?
Well, that's not the world.
Yeah, and I think it's important to acknowledge the people that do support us, and I think it's important to acknowledge the places we go for support that also cause harm. So if we're there for support, a lot of times there's this vulnerability that happens in churches, support groups, things like this, where you're under the quote unquote welcoming veil of we're all in this together. And then sometimes that could be the place where, because we do let our guard down, because we are under those preconceived notions and that communal agreement, it can go awry when that doesn't actually happen in the actions.
Yes.
And that is really hard for marginalized communities to have yet another place that they're not supported. We don't have that many places to be like losing support. So I just want to acknowledge that's hard.
It's even worse than not being supported. It's basically you were sucked in, so you're feeling bad about them basically being able to lie to you and then not doing what they said. Yeah,
so if you're going to support groups and you don't feel the health in the place, like please remove yourself before you pick any of that up, because true helpful places do exist. And some support spaces go through an unhealthy season. And that's very important to acknowledge before there's any place where you're tender and need support. And sometimes you can't foresee that. But if you can foresee like something is off here, it is a big world. Go somewhere else.
Wow, you said it. You said it good. Because what came to mind when you were saying that too was like, I have been... That's happened with different groups, like I'll say. That is an experience to where... Because I used to always be afraid of like, man, if I say the wrong thing, they're going to kick me out. And so with this one especially, like, it was so funny how we were like vulnerable and personable in the group, but then when they were afraid to talk to me, then it defected on like group policy, all these different... things to like... And it's such a common experience for me... I think as a black gay man, when someone doesn't want me in a space, it goes from personal to like not legal, but like policy driven. Like these
real
are the policies.
Consequences.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I'm not a black gay man.
Yeah. No. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
And the same experience happened. I'm a transgender woman. I'm rather white. In fact, she's extremely white.
She's transparent.
And I mean, that's normal. And, the big thing about it is it's like not
doesn't make it right, but it is normal.
Totally not right,
but
it's not a group for you. And it's basically they're preying on you, as they do a lot of people.
Yeah, and like maybe literally, right? Like, I mean, honestly, I've been kicked out of churches once they find out who I am. And then sometimes they want you to stay, and that can create more harm because sometimes in Texas it can be very abusive. And that also happens in support groups, that happens in recovery spaces. And again, it's just important to leave before the harm continues. Let's leave it at that. And And I think that it's responsible to voice that not all those places actually give the care that they're marketing.
And yeah, to me, the big thing is that if you decide it's not right for you, I tend to try not to badmouth them unless there was an incident specifically, in which case, okay, they did this, which is not okay. But it's like, I just wasn't comfortable there, so I'm gone.
Yeah, sometimes you have to name names to stop the harm and to process, and it sounds like you're working through like what those actions look like. And the thing I wanted to get to is, what do you do for fun?
Thank you.
It seems like you might have some like superhero situation or gaming or I don't know, like
I play a lot of video games. I'm playing.
He's like a lot, like a lot, like that's a lot face.
There's a good amount. Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero. I'm a huge Dragon Ball Z fan.
Okay.
I'm binge watching Scandal right now.
Yeah, that true crime stuff. Yeah,
exactly. Play with my dog. I have a 2-year-old pit bull mix.
That's cool. What's the name?
Trixie. Her name's Trixie.
That's cool.
She's like 2 years old and 50 pounds, and she still wants to be carried everywhere.
Yeah,
I'm like
spoiled.
I'm like, I can't
Spoiled.
carry you.
So that's your exercise.
That's my exercise. That's my exercise. I don't get into as many things as I used to because I think being unemployed takes a lot of mental energy for me.
For sure.
But those are the big things I keep up with.
Do you find that your gaming community is supportive to you?
I game solo now because there are so many, homophobic, transphobic.
That's like, for
and you'll get online and you'll hear like racial slurs, homophobic. Like, so I used to make friends online with people, and now I just play solo.
It's
and get
hard to
offline.
know. Yeah, like you don't need another broken heart. Well, this funny story that comes up for me in my mind with Alexis. She had a dog one time that was injured. And it was a little Yorkie, and his little foot got injured, and then healed through it, and would fake being injured just to be catered to, but with the wrong foot. And so she was
like, "That's not the right foot."
Oh my God.
The dog would switch. So these fur pals of ours, like your dog might not ever want to just walk on their own now.
Oh my God.
You're gonna have to get like one of those little
of course,
baby born backpacks.
Being on the dog side, but in Houston in the summer it's too hot for them to walk on sidewalks or asphalt.
It is hot.
So maybe that's the whole thing.
Yeah. They might need.
We won't talk about the grass and inside.
Oh my gosh.
You reminded me, I gotta give my dog her flea treatment later.
Yeah, absolutely. Gotta keep up on that in Houston. So thank you for coming in. Thank you for taking care. And we're going to list some resources in the show notes for people who might be dealing with something. And we're going to also just keep pointing to your podcast and your work. So thanks for coming. We'd like to have you back maybe to talk about some villains or, something creative. We're going to have those conversations too. So
I love that. Yeah. Thank you for having me on. I want to just highlight, that I feel like I'm a very strong person. I'm very proud of my growth. And I love that I turned the pain and alchemize it into growth. And, my vision and my future looks like helping people step into that power too. So thank you so much for having me on.
It's a life-saving thing. I really appreciate it. And for those of you out there, if you are listening, if you can like, subscribe, share, and maybe even contribute to the podcast, that'd be awesome. We'd love to hear from you on your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you if you have other guests that want to come on. And you can actually financially contrbe if you want to hit the $3 button or something. It adds up, right?
You could go higher than $3 if you want.
Maybe you're a big spender. I love it. So, but bye for now.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.